Kids are not allowed in the hot tub because clothing is optional in the hot tub. So my wife, Tracy, and I, we are traveling. We are changing up where we're living pretty much every month this year to test it out. And we're doing it by staying in different Airbnbs. In this video, we want to share with you 7 tips for booking Airbnbs for extended stays, especially if you are also traveling with a pet like we are. Okay, so once you know the vicinity of where you want to stay, it's now time to book where you're going to be staying. So these are your 7 tips for booking Airbnbs for extended stays.
Yeah. So tip number 1 is know your budget. As long as you know kind of what you can afford, where you want to keep that price point in, you can then start looking for actually booking out your stays and filtering them by price and all of that. And one tip I'll give you within this category is to be flexible on your dates. So if you're having a hard time finding things that fall within your budget, Airbnb has like this toggle, like plus or minus 3 days or 7 days or 2 days that you can turn on, and it just kind of opens up your options a little bit more. The only note I'll put in there is that then you want to account for any gaps that might cause in your transitions, as far as like, okay, we might need to get a hotel for this night, or we might need to car camp this night. So just building those things into your budget as well to get a full picture on, you know, the price point and the affordability of it. And then another tip is to hit the all fees toggle on the Airbnb. I think it's new. I don't remember seeing it like in the last year, but maybe I was just really unobservant.
No, we've been traveling Airbnb style for a while, and usually we were always shocked once we booked the place because then all the fees came in. But yeah, it was just recently that we noticed the all fees.
Right. So if you turn that toggle on, it shows you all of the fees. That's still excluding taxes, so you're going to need to put a little bit of a buffer on top of that, but it shouldn't be quite as much of a slap to the face when you go to check out.
Number 2, know your filters. I like my laundry going while I'm working. So all of the places that we are selecting for our travel purposes, they all have washers and dryers. We also are selecting them specifically based on the proximity to where it is that we want to travel, or where it is that we want to visit. And because Tracy and I both work remotely, the places must have reliable Wi-Fi. And because we're traveling with a pogger, she is a pig-dog hybrid, all of the places that we are renting are pet-friendly. And then lastly, I will say, we only select places that are the entire place. There's an entire place filter. If you want your own private space, all of it to be private, then select entire space.
So tip number 3 is to read the entire listing.
Yeah.
So you'll find that like the overview might say something, and then the policies might say something, and security might say something, and all this different stuff.
Yeah, well, and just to give you a perfect example of this, Tracy and I found this amazing place in the Southwest. It was affordable and all of the reviews were great, but Tracy was reading through all of the different details of it and randomly found kids are not allowed in the hot tub because clothing is optional in the hot tub. And I was just like, that's such a weird thing to put in the description. So I decided not to go to this Airbnb because I don't really see myself getting naked in a hot tub.
Not that free.
Not that free. Not yet. Maybe we'll change, but yeah. Number 4, if you're also traveling with a pet, you're going to want to make sure you read the overview and the policies, even if the Airbnb that you've selected the filters, they're pet friendly. Make sure you read the policies, because many times these places will say that they're pet friendly, but then they have more restrictive policies in place, like the dog can only be up to a certain weight limit, or they can't be certain breeds or even look like a certain breed. So make sure you check the overview of those more restrictive policies if you're traveling with a pet.
So number 5 is to read the reviews when possible, if there's reviews, make sure you read the reviews, because a lot of times these will give extra insights that might not actually be in the overview and the policies. So like, for example, we're filtering by Wi-Fi. A lot of places say they have Wi-Fi, but once you read the reviews, people will say it's not very good signal. Neighborhood safety is another big one. Cleanliness, how well stocked the place is. With us going monthly, it will be good to kind of have a heads up of what we might need to be prepared for when we get there, as far as cooking meals and all of that type of stuff. And that's really stuff that might be left out of the actual overview and policies and all of that the host might not have mentioned, but usually the reviews will give some good insights into.
Number 6, after you've done the first 5 things we just suggested, your next step is to actually contact the host, the owner of that Airbnb. So you just want to double check anything that you might not be certain on. So again, like talking about whether it's well stocked or not, if you still have questions, you can reach out to the host, and most of them, in our experience, are super responsive and very nice. So you can ask them that.
So I will say, like, contacting the host, it's not mandatory. If there's things that you're not overly concerned about, then don't worry about it. But with the dog, we just always like to give them a heads up ahead of time before we actually even book the place. It's like, hey, we're interested in booking your place. We're bringing a dog. She's this size, and just see what they say. Yeah.
How do you spell that?
That wasn't a spelling.
That was definitely not spelling.
All right. So tip number 7, double check. I'd probably say double, triple, quadruple check the pictures.
In your case, I'm going to need you to start quadruple checking the pictures. Tracy has put us in some interesting predicaments in the near future, and all of y'all get to experience them firsthand or secondhand, watching what we're going through in the upcoming months here.
Yeah, so I spend so much time vetting the descriptions and the reviews and the policies that I'm just like, oh great, this place meets all of our expectations. Then I just book it, the host was cool. And then I
literally like 2 days later. Yeah.
2 days later, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do good. I missed something.
Yeah.
So I think each of the 3 stays that we have booked for when we start this full-time venture are, I missed something.
Mm-hmm. So our first trip, the Airbnb is actually in somebody's basement.
Yes.
So there's going to be people walking above us all of the time, which I'm sure will be a blast with the dog.
Yeah, a blast with the dog. Interesting with the recording and the calls and everything for work. Another small place. It is its own unit, but I think it's like an add-on to a house, and it's got this little loft. It's like a very, very small place.
We living in a tiny home.
It pretty much is going to be a tiny home, attic looking thing. It's going to be interesting. But then I think the best miss that I've had so far. The only shower facility in the place only has a tub. And we're not like talking like bathtub that, or in most homes, we're talking like the old like style tubs.
1980s style wash tub.
It's just sitting in the middle of this bathroom, no shower curtains, and it's just got a detachable hose.
Yeah, there's no shower. I'm going to be taking tubbies like Cricket, like our dog, just hosing myself off.
So I did not do good, but it'll be interesting. That'll free us up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe then I'll be ready for some nudity hot tubs with strangers.
Right. Get it on.
All right, so I have a bonus one for you guys. Something that Tracy and I thought of before we even started booking our trips that we want to do for our close friends and family is we are creating a shared document where we'll be documenting where we're going to be and where we're staying at, so that not only they know like kind of our detailed plans of where we'll be, but if we just suddenly go off the grid because we're in the Southwest partaking in some nudity hot tub ventures, and then all of a sudden nobody hears from us for several days, our friends and family can go to this log and be like, well, this is where they were last known to be. This is where they were last known to be.
Yeah.
So we will be keeping people up to date on our travels that way. So just something you might not have thought about, but could be useful for keeping all of your close relatives and friends on the same schedule as you.
good safety precaution too.
Safety precaution as well, yeah.
So those are our 7 tips on booking Airbnbs for long-term stays, especially with that focus on pet friendly, with the bonus tip there at the end. So hopefully you found this helpful. If there's something else that maybe we don't do that you would recommend, feel free to drop us a comment.
Yeah, please do. That'll be helpful, not just to us, but to everyone else who is watching these videos.